Social anxiety, the feeling that we get when we're in a new situation around people that we don't know, and we begin to tense up. We begin to feel anxious. What do you do in those situations? That's what we're going to be talking about today on the Introvert Experience. What's up, everybody? This is T. Lee, aka the Introvert Leader. Welcome to the Introvert Experience, and I want to talk a little bit today about social anxiety. And I recently got back just a few days ago from a very big conference in Atlanta. It's a conference called Invest Fest, and it was an amazing experience. Like, I don't say that lightly. It's one of these things where I had been looking into it, and I haven't gone the past few years, and I decided to go. And honestly, if you're like me, you might be listening to this and you might be someone that the thought of being in large crowds around, people that you don't know, and just for extended periods of time, being around these people, it may make you feel anxious. Like, you might feel a lot more comfortable when you're around people you know and comfortable environments. Well, this is my year of doing different things. This is my year of doing new things and trying new things. And so I decided to buy tickets, and me and my wife went there, and the experience, I would not exchange it for anything. Like, it was an amazing weekend. And so I just wanted to talk through that a little bit and share some of my experience there and some ways that if you deal with social anxiety, what are some things that you can do to help in that area? So I think the first thing that we can do is we can put ourselves in situations we don't normally do. So we can challenge ourselves. Okay, so again, using myself as the example here, normally for things like this, these kind of events, I just would have said no. I just wouldn't have gone, right? Like, if it was a smaller setting, more intimate, something like that, I probably would have gone to it. But something like this with that many people and all of the networking and all of that, I would have thought it was too much. And so I just would have bowed out and never gone. Well, had I done that, I will tell you, I would have missed out on so much amazing information this weekend. It was essentially a financial literacy conference. And so there were seminars and talks on everything from investing in the stock market to real estate to growing a business, a number of different businesses. There were panels on artificial intelligence, AI. I mean, there were so many different things going on at this conference. Like, I don't regret for a minute that I went to this. So when we don't challenge ourselves to do things that are outside of our norm, we miss out on opportunities, we miss out on experiences. So I think the first thing when we begin to feel anxious is to remember that there is so much we can gain at times when we step outside of that comfort zone and we do something that's different. The other thing that I'll say, and this was big for me, is, I went with somebody, okay? And I've talked about this in the past here on the show, where when we begin to feel that level of anxiety, when we begin to feel just the thoughts are racing and it's like, I'm not going to know anybody there. This is going to be uncomfortable. I don't know how this is going to be, how this is going to play out. When those thoughts begin to race, well, one of the things that helps is to not go through it alone, to not be the only person that's in that environment, right? So, in my case, I asked my wife, I said, hey, I was going to just go out here, go to this event, but would you want to go with me? And, the subject matter and everything isn't something that she typically would be interested in like that. But I'm really glad that she went, so it was cool. So, I had somebody that I was walking around with. We were, there at the conference learning together. I wasn't just sitting in the seat by myself around all of these people that I don't know. And that really was helpful for me, and that was good. And I was still able to make some connections while I was out there, connect with some people and things like that. But it was helpful for me with my setup the way I am to have somebody there that I know. So I'll say, for you listening to this, if you get anxious in those situations, if you get anxious in new environments, then try to have a friend a confidant, family member, whoever, somebody that can go with you. That way you're not going about it alone, all right? I'll say that one of the other things, and it was interesting throughout the weekend because, being observant as introverts as we are, right? I'm in this huge, it was at the World Congress Center in Georgia. And so it was just this huge room. I mean, thousands of chairs, thousands of people in this place, right? And it's funny to observe the different types of personalities and the different people. You had your extreme extroverts where anytime somebody said something, they're just getting out of their seat and yelling and rah rah and all of that. And then you had people like me that were kind of sitting back just observing and taking in the information and actively listening and doing all of that. And then some people that were in between. And I thought it was really cool throughout the weekend to just see the dynamic of that. And so with social anxiety, I think a lot of times we're worrying about what other people are thinking. We're worrying about what other people might, how they might perceive us, right? People that are around us, the things that we might say, are we saying the right thing? How are they going to take what we're saying? Like there's a certain anxiety that just creeps in when we begin to think about that in terms of conversation and in terms of being in these different environments. And this weekend, looking around, you just realize when you're around so many different people that there are never going to be two people that are exactly the same. There's never going to be two people that are the same. And all of us are uniquely who we are, right? So the person in the festival this weekend that was rah-rah and yelling and clapping at every single sentence and all of that, like that's cool. That person can be who they are. And then me sitting there getting the information, taking my notes and intently listening actively and all of that, and maybe not jumping up every few seconds and being loud. I can be that way too. And both of us can coexist, and it's all good. It's all good, Introverts are too quiet and too weak to lead. Have you ever heard this before? Well, my name is Terrence, and for years as an introvert, I didn't think I had what it took to be a leader. What I learned was being an introvert is my superpower. If you want to learn how to have success as an introvert, then go to quietvoicefearlessleader.com to learn more. So we shouldn't feel anxious in these social situations like that, because we can just remember that it's okay to be us. So much of this anxiety creeps in when we're trying to be something different, or we're worried about the thoughts of other people around us and what they're going to think if I say this or if I do that. Like when we begin to totally let that go and we just say, hey, I exist in this space and I'm going to be the way that I'm going to be, it really helps to relieve a lot of that anxiety that we begin to experience socially. So, going to the festival this weekend, I think really highlighted that for me. And I think it's an area where when we begin to key in, it can make a huge, huge difference. So listen, if you ever deal with social anxiety, I really hope that you'll find this to be helpful. And let me know, shoot me an email if you're somebody that gets anxious in new social situations, new social environments. Shoot me an email at info@terrencelee.com. I would love to hear your stories, and I would love to try to offer specific help to your situation, because social anxiety is a real thing. It's a very real thing. And by the way, it is not something that is just experienced by introverts. That is I think, misnomer that a lot of people have, where it's like, oh, introverts have anxiety about being social or being around people. Well, some do, and some don't, and some extroverts do as well. So I think that I just wanted to be very clear on that as we end the show. But, shoot me an email, let me know your situation. I would love to try to help and go from there. So it is good to be back. I will say that as introverts, we can be in social situations with a lot of people, and we can still thrive by being authentically ourselves and being who we are. And it was a great experience. And oftentimes when I don't feel like going to something, a lot of times when I end up going, it wasn't that bad. Okay, it wasn't that bad. And in fact, it ended up being something amazing. This happens time and time again with me, I've realized. So I just want to leave you with that. I want to leave you with, when you begin feeling anxiety about going into a situation, you're telling yourself, nah, I'm not going. Nah, I'm not going to make it. Nah, I'm not going to do that. Remember what you could be missing out on. Okay? So I really want to encourage you, don't talk yourself out of being in certain rooms that could change your life. Don't talk yourself out of meeting certain people that may have the key to exactly what you need to get to your next level. A lot of times we can talk ourselves out of these situations. And so I just want to, leave you with that. Just realize social anxiety is a real thing. I get it. I've been there. At the end of the day, I hope that some of these tips helped. And if there's any way that I can help additionally, like I said, just drop me a note and we'll have a conversation. So as always, remember, there's only one you and there's only one life. So make it count. God bless.